Snowflakes drifted through the silent night, falling gently over flashing red and blue lights. The quiet was broken only by the low hum of police radios and the soft, labored breathing of Officer Jenna Hale, who lay slumped against her patrol car, her uniform streaked with blood, her face pale against the white snow. Beside her, a German shepherd barked furiously, his deep growls cutting through the cold wind like a promise. His name was Rex, her loyal canine partner, and he wasn't going anywhere. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the unbreakable bond between humans and animals, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Pawsitive Tales. Your support helps keep stories like this alive and heard. It had been a night like any other, or so Jenna thought. The city was cloaked in snow, the streets glistening under the pale glow of streetlights. She and Rex had been on patrol, responding to a call about a break-in at an abandoned cabin on the edge of town. They had done this countless times before, relying on each other's instincts. Her calm precision, his unmatched scent tracking. But something about that night felt different. The silence in the woods wasn't natural. It was heavy, as if the air itself held its breath. When they arrived at the cabin, everything was still. The door hung ajar, a faint trail of footprints leading inside. Rex's ears perked, his muscles tensed, his eyes locked forward. Jenna whispered for him to stay close. The next moments blurred into chaos. The flash of movement, the sound of glass shattering, and the echo of gunfire tearing through the night. A bullet grazed Jenna's shoulder before slamming into her side, sending her crashing backward. Her radio crackled with distant voices, but she couldn't reach it. Pain surged through her body, cold and sharp, while the snow beneath her turned crimson. She gasped for breath, trying to stay conscious, as Rex lunged forward with a thunderous growl. What happened next was something no one at the precinct would ever forget. Rex didn't retreat. He didn't wait for backup. He charged straight at the armed suspect, teeth bared, fearless and furious. The man tried to fight him off, but Rex was relentless, driven by the pure instinct to protect his partner. By the time officers arrived minutes later, the suspect was subdued, and Rex was back at Jenna's side, whining softly, pressing his body against her as if to keep her warm. The officers tried to move him so the medics could work, but Rex snarled and refused. He positioned himself between Jenna and anyone who got too close, eyes fierce, body trembling with adrenaline and fear. It wasn't until Jenna, half-conscious, whispered his name that he finally allowed them near. But even then, he never stepped away. He followed every movement, every gesture, his gaze never leaving her. At the hospital, doctors fought to keep Jenna alive. The bullet had missed her heart by inches, but she had lost a lot of blood. Through it all, Rex waited outside the emergency room door, his fur damp from melted snow, his eyes locked on the swinging doors. Nurses tried to coax him away, offering food and water, but he refused. He lay there for hours, then through the night, never moving, not even to rest. Word spread quickly. Other officers began bringing him blankets, hot meals and water, but he accepted none of it until someone handed him Jenna's jacket, which he curled up beside as if guarding her scent. Hospital staff and visitors alike stopped to watch, some filming, others simply moved to tears by the sight of a loyal dog waiting for his partner, his family. Days passed. Jenna's condition slowly stabilized, but she remained unconscious. Every day Rex was there, his presence constant and unwavering. The hospital allowed him to stay in a small area by her room. Sometimes he would lift his head when he heard her name mentioned. Other times he would rest his muzzle on his paws, staring through the glass as if willing her to wake up. When Jenna finally opened her eyes, weak but alive, the first sound she heard wasn't the beeping of monitors. It was the familiar soft whine of Rex on the other side of the door. Her lips trembled into a faint smile, tears pooling in her eyes. The nurses quickly called the canine unit, and when Rex was led into the room, the moment that followed melted every heart watching. He didn't bark or jump. Instead, he walked slowly toward her bed, his head bowed, his tail low. Then, with the gentleness of someone who understood fragility, he rested his head on her lap. Jenna's trembling hand reached out and touched his fur. "You stayed," she whispered, voice cracking. Rex licked her fingers and let out a quiet sound, half whimper, half sigh, as if to say, "I never left." The hospital staff couldn't hold back their emotions. Some cried, others simply stood in silence, witnessing the raw, wordless love between a human and her loyal partner. News of the reunion spread across the department, then through social media. People everywhere shared the story of the dog who refused to leave his wounded handler's side, even when others told him to. As Jenna recovered, she learned how Rex had become something of a symbol in the precinct. Officers said morale had never been higher. Civilians brought him treats and letters, thanking him for reminding them what loyalty truly meant. When she was finally strong enough to walk again, she returned to the station with Rex at her side. The entire department stood to applaud them. Months later, on a crisp spring morning, Jenna stood in front of a classroom full of new recruits. Rex sat proudly beside her, his badge glinting under the light. She told them about that night, not as a story of violence, but of courage, love, and trust. She told them how a canine wasn't just a partner, but a living heart that beats beside you, a bond that defies fear and pain. Her voice broke as she looked down at Rex. "He saved my life," she said softly. "Not just that night, but every day since." As she spoke, Rex lifted his head and nudged her hand, and the room filled with quiet admiration. They weren't just a team, they were family. And though Jenna would carry the scars of that night forever, she never saw them as reminders of pain. To her, they were proof of love, the kind that doesn't fade, doesn't flinch, and never walks away. If this story touched your heart, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Pawsitive Tales. Leave a comment below and tell us what this story meant to you, because sometimes the most powerful stories are the ones that remind us that love, in any form, never gives up. Special request: before you leave, drop a comment with, "If you believe no loyalty compares to that of a dog."